Hey gang, welcome to this week's local SEO and marketing Q&A section here at Local Marketing Institute. Thanks so much for letting us take the week off last week. I think we all three wanted to just enjoy a little bit of time with our family and friends over the weekend, so we appreciate that. But we're back, and we've got a ton of questions to go over with this week. Want to say hello to my good friends Jason Brown and Ben Fisher. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey, happy Friday, everybody.
It's also great to see a bunch of people that we know coming in back here on the sessions. We're excited to kind of kick off this next session here. And if you aren't signed up yet for future sessions, make sure you get signed up for those out there. We'll be doing them every week here again, starting up here right now. Going through just a couple quick housekeeping items. As always, if you want to reach Ben, you can reach him at steadydemand.com and at The Social Dude on Twitter. Really recommend you go out and check out his site. They got some good stuff out there that Steady Demand is doing. And Jason Brown, you can get a hold of him at reviewfraud.org and at Kaiser Holiday. A lot of interesting stuff on the Review Fraud site. So if you haven't checked out that site, I highly recommend you check that out as well. As always, you can reach me at localmarketinginstitute.com. If you're not already part of the Facebook group, I bet you most of you already are, but if you're not, if you're listening to this or watching the recording, please go out to Facebook, search for Local Marketing Institute Connect and join there. Very positive community. We beat down the spammers and get rid of them quickly. It's just really good information, a very positive, helpful community on all things digital for local businesses. And make sure you subscribe to our podcast. It's available on all the major podcast platforms out there, but go out there, check it out, and subscribe. And our final little announcement for today, I'm very excited to announce that next week, we've got Larry Kim. Larry Kim is joining us. If you don't know Larry, he's an internet marketing legend out there. He was the founder of WordStream, which is a fantastic platform for managing digital advertising. But he now has left WordStream, and he's now started a new company called Mobile Monkey about a couple years ago. So he's going to be coming on board with us next week to chat about Instagram strategies. So his title was 5 New Instagram Growth Tools for Local Businesses. So interesting little diversion into the social media realm here. I think it's going to be fantastic and hope you all can join us for that. So without much further ado, guys, I think I want to get into some of the Q&A we got going on here. If you're watching us here on Zoom, please put any questions you have for Jen. I'm like mixing your two names together. I'm going to call you Benifer. But if you have any questions for Jason or for Ben or for me for that matter, put them into the Q&A on there, and you can. We'll look at that here on Zoom. We'll try to monitor chat, but it's best you put them in the Q&A. If you're watching us on Facebook, just put them there in the comments on Facebook. We'll monitor that. And yes, we renamed Jason as Waldo. He's got the Waldo background going in here, which I think is going to burn my eyeballs out before the end of the session.
Well, that's because I moved, and so the question is, where's Waldo? Where's Jason living? Because
where's Jason? I know where Jason's at. He's in my backyard.
No.
You moved again?
Yeah.
Where are you now?
That's why I took last week. Well, that's why I took last weekend off. So I moved back to California.
Oh, you're back in California.
I am.
Colorado didn't suit you, huh?
Yeah, different reasons. We'll get into it later.
Well, we're going to miss you here in Colorado, but I like California as well. And Ben, I know that the sword collection is gone.
Yes, the sword collection is gone. I'm getting it prepped, and hopefully I'll be redoing this room and repainting it and all sorts of stuff soon.
Nate says you can always know where Jason is by seeing how many review frauds have been taken down in a close proximity to where he lives.
No. I did.
Not really.
I did the whole United States. And by the way, Nate, I have been credited with 17,176 edits so far.
17,000 edits that Jason has been personally responsible for. Think of all the spam listings and spam reviews that Jason has personally tried to handle.
I say all the carpal tunnel syndrome. Just saying, click, 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 click.
Absolutely. Well, we have a ton of things to get to today, so I think we should just dive on in to this. Let me bring up my notes here.
Should we go spam first? The WAPO?
Yeah, we can talk spam first. Let me share my screen, and we'll share the one thing here that Jason wanted to show about here, which was this one. Washington Post had a really big story on all the fake patient reviews on Google, Yelp, and other sites. So, JB, I know this is right up your alley. You want to comment on this?
Yeah, so I think this was huge and crucial to get a big publication like the Washington Post to cover this, because this is going to have some really, really great traction. But yeah, they started off with my favorite industry to tackle, which is drug rehab listings that go and buy a bunch of fake reviews to make themselves look good. So we got quotes from Curtis Boyd. I'm thinking on her name. Her last name's Dean, but I've worked with her on a couple of projects. I've worked with Curtis Boyd. Our own Mike Blumenthal was in there. K. Dean. And then also there was an interview with the lawyer from the FTC. So I got a funny feeling that they're going to be really serious in cracking down on the amount of fake reviews that are coming. So we should start seeing a big deluge and cleanup across the board, not just for Google, but I mean, they talked about ZocDoc and health grades. So, I mean, this is like that wake up call. So if you are doing anything with fake reviews, get ready, because you're got a huge, big old target on your back.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. Earlier, you had talked about you had even tried to get some fake listings removed from Facebook, and Facebook came back and said, "We see nothing wrong with these listings."
No, they were profiles. And
fake profiles.
Fake profiles. And so one was a hat tip to Amy Toman, but basically somebody created a fake profile. They hit a bunch of lawyer listings and left glowing recommendations for these businesses. But all it was to just sell their services. And I think it was like some Bitcoin trading, service, but couldn't get the profiles taken care of. So I have not been able to get a fake profile that's been created on Facebook removed ever. It's a painful process, and I've kind of given up.
Stephen wanted to know if the fake reviews that were to mention as articles were more good reviews or bad reviews.
Good reviews. So no, it's people that are paying for glowing reviews, so that way they can have a better online presence and outrank and outperform their competitors. So no, it was fake reviews for some crappy places. So if you read the article, somebody went to a drug rehab center because they saw the glowing reviews. Well, the guy was drinking every night, so he wasn't actually getting rehab treatment according to the article. The facilities, disputing it, but Google did come in and wipe out, reviews on all of their Google removed the reviews, Yelp removed reviews, and I think TripAdvisor removed reviews, or whatever the other platform was.
Well, I mean, I think this is where, we're seeing more and more kind of national and big coverage of this out there. In my mind, look, I'm never a big fan of large government regulation. This is one area where I don't think unless the government starts coming in and putting regulations and penalties on companies like Google, like Yelp, like Facebook, heck, even Amazon with its fake reviews, if they don't start coming down on those companies for this, it's not going to really get fixed. So this is one situation where I'm actually in favor of some hard-hitting legislation to get this mess cleaned up. But we'll see. Next big thing going on here. Ben, some big news about Moz. You're on mute, Ben.
Oops. But yeah, there's not much detail about it right now, but I mean, they just released the news, 53 minutes ago, that they've been acquired.
We are breaking stories here.
Breaking news. Yes, you've heard it here first. But yeah, they've been acquired by iContact, which is, I think, kind of an interesting acquisition strategy. I mean, if iContact wants to get into getting with a lot more local businesses, or just SEO companies, marketers, agencies, then it's a good idea. So seen acquisitions like this in the past, and it works out really well. Yeah. And as Jason says, maybe they'll make a profit now. It's possible. But seriously, it's like, congrats to the entire team. Sarah Bird and all them, they did a great job.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I put the link to both the Washington Post article and to the article about the Moz acquisition into the chat there for you guys. There's even a little 5.5 minute video that talks through the whole acquisition and kind of what happened and what they think it's going to mean for Moz down the road. So time will tell, but we'll see how that's going to affect things. But if you do use Moz, something to just keep your eye on. I don't think anything's going to negatively happen to Moz. This is probably a very positive move and perhaps some fresh energy into the Moz platform. All right. And guys, feel free. We've got some good questions coming through. We're going to keep an eye. We're going to get to all your Q&A here. Just a few updates more to go. One more thing. Ben, you had said that this is fascinating. I love this. Google My Business short names have been deprecated. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So all those times we've been telling people, hey, do your short names, use /review. Oops. Sorry. Google giveth and Google taketh away.
This is where you go back to what is that ID? You guys are always saying, always use this ID when you're linking to your GMB profile.
Well, the CID?
CID.
There's better ways to do it.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically how this is going is that as of actually a couple of weeks ago, but the news really broke yesterday, is that now they're being deprecated. What does this mean? So it means that if you have a short name already, then it's going to continue to work infinitum. Basically, we've covered that with Google. They said it will just continue to work.
So historical ones will still continue to work.
Correct. You cannot edit them, however. So although even though this morning I tried it and I was like looking at the review solicitation link, because there is one now on the, if you go to the home of your Gmb business, Gmb web, you can basically, if you have not set a short name, if you click on get reviews, it's going to give you a shortened link with a bunch of gobbledygook for the ID, but you can use that and that's going to stay. Or you could just use a tool like Plepper, for instance, or just go ahead and, just do it like a Bitly or something like that if you really want to do it.
Tricia asked, will adding /review to your previous short name still continue to work as it has?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. Nothing has changed. It's still going to work as long as you have it, as long as your short name actually worked and pulled up your listing. Now, the problem with a lot of issues we came across with short names were people were not putting in a relevant term. And so Google wasn't able to pull up the listing because they basically interpreted it like you were trying to do a generalized search for something. So, but yeah, I already saw somebody complain on the forum this morning that they went in and they tried to update their short name and accidentally deleted it, and now they can't get it back. So be word of the wise.
Yeah, and this is what's a real shame here is this was actually a very useful Google My Business feature.
It was.
I mean, it increased the number of reviews that somebody could get by upwards of 20 to 30% more. So I don't know. Yeah. Whatever.
Any rationale as to why they dropped it, or just decided we don't want to support this anymore?
My gut says that it is probably going to be something along the lines of not enough people are using it. And unfortunately, that's also a self-fulfilling prophecy as well, because they did not market it. The only people that marketed it, and this is typical of GMB, is us, marketers and product experts. So low usage, but they're probably looking at like the 90% of merchants who don't use marketing agencies. Yeah. And so
it was kind of a buried feature. It wasn't well publicized. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, just a heads up for that on that one. All right, let's dive into some Q&A. Got one in here from Werner. Says, can I display my customers' products? Does it work through some sort of account in Google Marketplace? And he said that Google is launching a tool that will let shoppers find out what products are in stock at stores near them, called See What's in Store, SWIS. Let me try to tackle that one. I think we looked at this one here. Let me bring up this. So what we're talking about here, I used Walmart because I know that Walmart had it. So I just did Walmart near me. And if you look at Walmart, first of all, product ads here, but if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see What's in Store right here, right? And in here, you can go down here and this whole section is from the See What's in Store. This is basically products being added to a GMB listing, but it's being added through local inventory ads. So a little quick background on this. So if you look at this is actually local inventory ads that is displaying this section here. By the way, this is also local shopping ads, but the local inventory ads basically allows you to put your in-store inventory right there on your site. Not to get too deep because we covered this a while back and we may do another e-commerce section again. By the way, here's local inventory ads. Let me put this into the chat for everybody here. Where did my chat window go? There it is. There's the chat to the local inventory ads. Really, anybody can do it. And if you look at what they're doing here, they're talking about the partners and they talk about like Pointy, Products Up, Epicor. But if you find out what they're actually doing here, they're actually taking your inventory from your sales management system, your POS or your sales management system, and they're putting it out through Google Merchant Center. And in Google Merchant Center, they're creating local inventory ads, and those local inventory ads then flow into various places online, including into a GMB listing. So local inventory ads, you don't have to just use these guys. You can, like I know like Shopify has a push directly into Google Merchant Center, but bottom line, you got to somehow connect your inventory management system into Google Merchant Center, and then through Google Merchant Center, you can push out to a wide variety of product surfaces, whether it be in inventory ads, product shopping ads, GMB listing, et cetera. So that's pretty much what it is. Ben, Jason, you have anything else you want to add to that?
I'm just impressed that you used the word surfaces.
Surfaces. They're using that a lot. They're using that a lot in different places. So I work with a lot of local publishers, and they have the news surfaces in different areas.
Yeah, GMB uses it all the time. It's like mobile's a different surface, search is a different surface.
It's all about
local categorical search is a different surface.
Yes. Use the word surfaces tonight at your latest cocktail party. Impress your friends. Show them what a geek you are. All right. Let's see here. All right. So that was that one. That was that question. Hopefully that helps, Werner. This has actually been out for a while now. Here's a good question, JB. Maybe tackle this one with you. This is from Carrie. It says, should you go back and respond to old reviews? I'm starting with a new client who hasn't been responding at all to online reviews. Should I go back and respond to selected older reviews or just start responding to new reviews as they are starting to come in?
So yes, definitely respond to new reviews as they come in. Start slowly going back and responding to old reviews. So start with the most recent negative reviews and start slowly going back a couple weeks to a couple of months. Depending on how many reviews they have, you don't have to go completely overboard. It's not going to look really, really good for you to go and let's say they have, 100 reviews and you go and you respond to 100 reviews all at the same point in time. People aren't going to like that as much, but no, you definitely want to respond to negative reviews because there's two things to a negative review. So customers are going to read the negative review, but they're also going to read the response that the business has to the negative review, and they're going to make a judgment call on your business more on how you respond to the review and less on what the consumer says. So I always tell people respond to reviews in a polite and professional manner. The job of the responding to the review is to de-escalate, not escalate the issue further, but to, try you're not going to really win that customer back, but if you look like you're actually wanting to win that customer back, people are going to see it as like, okay, if there's an issue with this company, they're going to try and resolve it. So it'll go a long way.
Yep. So I'll share this with you guys real quick. We do have a little guide out here on Local Marketing Institute about how to respond to negative reviews. Jason, you and I ought to go through this again and update it, make sure it's got all your tips in here too. But bottom line, Jason nailed it. You do want to respond to negative reviews. You want to keep it professional because it's not necessarily about that person. It's about the other people going back and reading the reviews. I think though too, also Carrie's comment, he said, should I go back and just respond to selected older reviews? Sounds like you're saying, yes, go back, respond to certain reviews, especially the negative ones. How far back? Because after a certain time, those are just going to be old reviews.
Yeah, usually the review surveys that come out, so Bright Local does one every year, People actually discount reviews older than 3 months. So if you think about the fact that, if you're going back, 5 years of worth of reviews, it's not really going to have any, benefit because, people are wanting, because people know that businesses can actually change, right? So your reputation can actually improve. So say you guys were a restaurant and you had a really bad chef and food was horrible, but you actually went in and you fixed it, or you had a bad receptionist and you got rid of that receptionist, or you trained her and you actually started making improvements, people are going to be more willing to forget those older, the past older reviews and start looking at and focusing more on the newer stuff that's coming in.
Okay.
I will agree with that. However, I want to add something to that. And that is that we encourage people to respond to every single review, even if it is 5 years old, right? But to Jason's point, prioritize what's recent, absolutely what's negative. But if you have the time, then go back and do answer the older reviews at this as well. Because some users will have that behavior where they will look back as far as they can.
That's true. And Amy brought up a good point here. We just want to reiterate that, honestly, if you look at your response to reviews as not so much for that person you're responding to, but for future potential clients, it completely changes your mindset on how you respond to reviews. You're not going to get all snippy with some person who leaves you a bad review and start an argument with them, because what's that going to look like to people who are evaluating your businesses, whether they want to work with you or not. Keep it professional, keep it upfront, keep it real, but always write with the future potential clients in mind. I think that's a great mindset, Amy.
I once saw a review response where the merchant actually threatened to go attack the reviewer. They knew who they were and they knew where they lived.
That's going to make anybody reading that review want to do business with you, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Jason, Ben, here's a good question for you. This is from Jeffrey. Says, my client is a major tourist information center in Portland, Maine. They guide tourists to best restaurants, bars, hotels in the area. As a result, they want their GMB listing to rank for terms related to restaurants, bars, and hotels. Even though they're an information center, should I also add restaurant, bar, and hotel categories to their Google My Business listing so that they rank for that term?
Short answer, no. Your business is not a restaurant. It's not a bar. It's not a tourist location. Your business is tourist information. So by putting those extra categories in there, even though they're what's called self-select, you are indeed being fraudulent at that point and misleading. So that actually potentially could lead you down the road to a suspension. It's a possibility because of the misleading factor. Yeah. What would be more important would be to really optimize your website. And just optimize your website. You can, if you want to, put it in services, because it is a service that you're giving, right? Pointing people to a bar or a restaurant. But I would focus more on the organic side of things. You're not going to be able to get the business to rank for a restaurant because you're not a restaurant.
Right. And that's exactly it. There's other factors that are going to go into, whether or not you appear for a search in like restaurants in Portland, Maine, or that. Ben, you had mentioned in our pre-show kind of debrief that think of yourself almost like a Yelp. You should optimize your website for best restaurants in Portland, Maine, best bars in Portland, Maine. Have pages like that on your site that are deep, have good information. I mean, if you guys ever seen Eater, these guys rank really high. I'm going to share this with you guys real quick. Let me share this here. There we go. Blanc-Franquish. Okay. But if you like look at Eater, let's look at hey Ben, let's go to your neck of the woods, Phoenix.
All right.
Right. Take a look at what they're doing here with Eater. This is what this company could do on their site. 10 fabulous cocktail bars to try in Phoenix, right? This is what they've actually done. If you look at it, they've actually got a little overview, and then they list all of them with some, tons of good information. By the way, they're actually putting in
that's wonderful, by the way.
schema data in this, right? This thing ranks incredibly high. So if you were to do a search, someone, cocktail bars in Phoenix, this is one of the top pages that pops up. And sometimes this can even get better results than Google My Business listings, because people are looking for kind of an unbiased review of the entire area, not just a specific business. So this is one that I absolutely love. If you guys just want to check this one, I'll put this one in the chat here as well. So I thought I would share that with you guys. All right. Okay, let's go this one. JB, this might be a good one for you. If someone has a service area and searches for like X kind of business near me, will Google show the GMB listing for the service area? The person, Heather, says, I'm wondering if they'll show the GMB listing for the service area business, or does it really only work if you have an actual physical location and pin on the map?
No, it works for both. So if you were to type plumber near me and you were to get the maps, you're definitely going to get, a mixture of businesses with their addresses showing and businesses with their address hidden. And so then when you click on the map, you're going to get the local finder, and with the local finder, you're going to get a hodgepodge of both, because and I picked that as a prime example because that's definitely an industry where people actually, are hiding their addresses or setting up service area businesses. So yes, your listing will show up, with your business name, your telephone number, your hours, whatever information you have filled out will be there along with your review. So you will definitely show up in a near me search, because here's the thing. When you create your listing, you had to have your PIN postcard mailed to a specific address. And so basically what Google does is they rank you based off of that address, which is why we are seeing a lot of issues with that Kansas bug, where Google has a technical issue on the back end and the address becomes missing. And then all of a sudden, boom, since they can't put you in your actual geographical location, they're putting you in the middle of the United States. Or if you're in Canada, they're putting you in the middle of Canada, or the middle of the UK, or the middle of Australia. So,
yeah, but there's still, I think, a lot of people out there who are wondering about, and this question comes up a lot, so I'm going to ask this here. Do in-person location businesses that have a PIN, outrank service area businesses, all things else being equal?
No. With everything being equal, no, never.
Good to know, because I think that's a misconception that's still very popular out there, that it's better to have that PIN than a service area because the PIN will outrank, and it doesn't. It doesn't do that.
No, think about it based on intent, right? So if you're looking for plumbers near me, it's probably going to favor service area business a little bit more than a brick and mortar. So business model, again, is what it comes down to.
Yeah,
when you're looking for lawyers, then that's a different story, because now you're going to get a mixture of service area based businesses and pins, right? So storefronts, garage door, it's actually even. And, doing garage door, service areas and pins rank almost evenly. So it also comes down to how much competition there is and population density and all of that. So just go with what your business model is.
Good point. Here is a great question from Amy. Actually, no, sorry. Sorry, Ben, this is from Shripad. Sorry. Amy, I just see your question too. We'll get to that. Should I merge a listing or rename the listing? This is from Shripad, who says, hey, I have a listing with 70 plus reviews. I have since established another company and created a Gmb listing for it and verified it. But I want to take the benefits of all the reviews I built up on my old listing to the new listing. What should I do? Number one, should I remove the old listing? And should I rename the old listing with the name of my new establishment? Or should I close the newly created listing and then rename the old listing? Or 3, should I submit a request to Google to merge the two listings together? This is kind of a complicated one, but Ben, why don't you take the first shot at this one?
All right. So basically, given the options that you have and without knowing too much of all the information, I'm going to say close the new one, rename the old one. That's because it does have the reviews. It has whatever kind of ranking power that was associated with it. And renaming it is not a big deal. You cannot request a merge of the two because the experience is technically going to be different because it's a new business, possibly a new service line, so Google's not going to assist with merging from one location to another location if the experience is different, basically. So your best option, rename, definitely close down the new one because you don't need it.
Jason, any thoughts on that?
No.
Okay. I think the only thing I want to just bring in here is I think it also depends upon the nature of the business. Is the new establishment the same type of business? Is it the same business just with a new kind of DBA, same location? Is it not? I mean, that's going to make a difference too as to what you do here, right, Ben?
Well, if it's the same location, we got a problem. Actually, we've already got a problem. Yeah. So.
Oh, and Shripod's actually in chat too.
What's that?
So Shripod, if you could tell us, is it just a new location for the same business, or is it a new name for the business in the same location? That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, he said yes.
Yeah, but to what? But we need to know yes to which.
Right. Because if it's a completely new business, you can't take the old GMB and apply it to the new business. I mean, I know some people try to do that. If it gets found out, it'll be suspended, right?
Worst case scenario, I think you'd probably lose the irrelevant reviews.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. So you need to remove the new listing, that you created. Remove that from your dashboard and rebrand the old listing. You can't, because you can't have two listings at the same location. It's going to be that's going to be a violation. So what you should do is just rebrand the old location. That way you keep the reviews, because they're not going to move those reviews from the old business to the new business if they're at the same address. Plus, you could get it suspended.
Right. So for those of you who are listening and aren't seeing the chat, in chat, Shripod came back and said that it is the same business with a new name at the same location. So therefore, Jason's advice, I think, is right on. Remove the new listing and then rebrand the old listing. So makes total sense. All right. JB, you got a good question for you here. How should a young business, 1 to 3 years old, in a competitive market best do local SEO? We're talking about someone like an electrical, a roofer, a landscaper, so it sounds like service area. It seems that existing players dominate organic and local, and can't compete realistically. What's the strategy for them?
Well, you should never be in a situation where you cannot perform well against older established businesses, because there's multiple factors that go in. So one thing that you might want to do is look at your website, because maybe your website is actually a detractor. So I was looking at a case yesterday where somebody was complaining that their rankings were slowly decreasing since January, and pointed out to the person, I said, well, you created all these, really crappy keyword stuffed, heavy density landing pages for all of your services and cities. So get rid of that. I mean, you used your city name, McKinney, Texas, 96 times in this content. So I think it would be your best interest to go in and get a website audit done. I would look into your citations. I would look into what local links you can do. Did you create a listing with the BBB? Are you registered with the Chamber of Commerce? Are there any local sponsorships that you can do in the community to get your name out there and get a link back to you? And then, look into, are you eligible for LSAs, for local service ads? But I mean, if you think about it, here's the thing. Google is going to rank listings based off the proximity that you are to the searcher. So as long as you are not stacking a business right on top of 3 businesses all in the same block or same shopping center, you're going to have a much better chance at having visibility with your customers. Ben?
Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I pretty much agree with all of that. I mean, depending, based on the type of business that the question was, they submitted, local service ads is going to be probably your go-to. Simply because when you go through local service ads, you'll probably be approved within 2 weeks, and you can turn that baby on, and you will be getting, it'll estimate for you, but you could be getting, 10, 15, 20 leads a month very easily. So that can help fuel, all of the other things that you need to do, like websites and, different things like not scholarships, but like Jim Boykin came out with something yesterday showing that scholarship links no longer work. Actually, you can get penalized for them. So kind of interesting on that one. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything that Jason said. Really focus on a lot of the basics, but absolutely get into local service ads.
I had some thoughts on this too. I think you're right on, Jason and Ben. But so I kind of had put some notes down here that I thought. So number one, hey, optimize your GMB listing as much as possible. Fill out as much stuff, put as much as you can into it. Maybe your competitors haven't done that. Optimize your website as much as possible. To your point, Jason, optimize your other citations. Ben, you've talked about this. Getting your Apple and Bing and Yelp and Facebook and Nextdoor. Get all those other citations, as clean as you can get those as well. BBB, Jason, that's a great suggestion. I think the other thing was launch a good review strategy. Come out of the gate with a good review strategy. Ask all customers to leave a review and respond to reviews. That alone can help you differentiate yourself. And then, as Ben mentioned, consider local services ads. You don't have to rely just upon GMB optimization for business. So.
Yeah, and all the reviews that you're getting, by the way, pipe right into local service ads.
Absolutely. They all feed right into that as well. So that's just some thoughts on there. Okay, we're getting here some more questions. I know we have a lot of questions in the queue. Getting to them as fast as we can. Here's a good one. Ben, why don't you kick this one off? This is from Sean. He says, how does changing the name of your business or DBA or the name of the corporate entity affect your local GMB ranking? And some little more details. I'm a law firm and anticipate changing the name to accommodate new partners in the business. I don't want to add their names to the entity, but I would like to rename the practice from like law offices of John Smith to more like the Smith Law Group.
Okay. So the basic answer to this question is it's going to help it'll help your listing. If you're changing it to something that has law group, you're getting that keyword of law into the name. As long as you make sure that you update everything, including signage, utility bills, bar profiles, BBBs, all of that, to make sure that the listings are 100% in compliance, then you're not going to have that big of a problem. And also, you're not sticking keywords in there that are kind of more descriptors. So you're not like throwing in like criminal lawyer or personal injury lawyer or auto accident lawyer. So you're a little bit safer there. However, the only thing that you have to be concerned with is that if you use law group, you may actually end up on a targeted list, either by a spam hunter or actually by Google themselves, and you might get a lot of false positives. The reason is that when the article came out on the Wall Street Journal, a year and a half ago, something like that?
2 years ago.
That's what I thought, 2 years. Okay, I should have said that. Anyway, 2 years ago, the spam pattern that we had identified with this legal network for personal injury lawyers was they were using law group or legal group as part of every single one of their listings. So we're talking probably on the order of over 100,000 listings. So that has probably been integrated into the algorithm and to look for automated spam. So you might actually get taken down every once in a while, and just be prepared for it.
There you go. Okay, we've got one from Anthony, who's live here. Says, my first time here. Welcome, Anthony. Here to learn about GMB specifically for now. My question is regarding photos. Should we always geotag photos with our office's coordinates? And what is your favorite tool to geotag? So we've talked about this a lot in the past. I think this is one of those issues, though, that Ben, Jason, I know it's your favorite topic, but we need to reiterate again and again and again. Does geotagging of photos help a business rank in Google My Business?
No, it's No, it's something that first popped up in 2007. Everybody went hog wild with it. Google found out how it was being exploited. And as soon as Google starts seeing a bunch of people exploiting something, they come in and they kill it, which is why Jim Boykin just had that thing where, Google's going after people that have, spammed the snot out of, scholarship links. So no, it has zero ranking benefit. It's a complete waste of time when you're doing it. When you're Gmb photos, Google is stripping out all that information. There's other data points that Google uses, but no, don't waste your time. And I always will say this, but I know a business that actually got suspended because they spent a whole bunch of time. I think they said they spent 60 hours downloading all their photos, geotagging them, re-uploading them to Gmb. Their Gmb listing got suspended for that abusive tactic. So, word of the wise: if you do it, you're gonna get spanked. It's a waste of time. There's other things you could be doing. You could be doing links. You could be doing review strategies. You could be asking customers to upload photos. There's so many different things you could do for something that is a shiny object that's been going around for 14 years now that doesn't work.
We need to stick a fork in this, really. I mean, you should do an article on local marketing.
You know what? I'm going to write an article about this. I'll get you guys to contribute to it. We're just going to put it out there and put it out there once and for all.
Yeah. And let's just put it this way, okay? So anything which is gameable is not going to work, period. Okay. And if you look at almost every aspect of Gmb, it's like that. Like descriptions don't help, products don't help, services are not going to help. None of these things are going to increase ranking. This myth that EXIF data, geotagging, renaming your photos, uploading 50 photos a week is going to help you with ranking is just pure gibberish. However, don't take my word for it. Go test it yourself. What I mean by that is use a tool that will go ahead and add the EXIF data and geotag it and rename it. Upload it to Google My Business. Once you upload it to Google My Business, now verify that the information is actually embedded first, then go upload it, then download that exact same image. What you'll find out is, like Jason was saying, is everything except for just a couple elements are ripped out, stripped out, and not used. So take that for what it is, go see for yourself, and stop wasting time.
I have every time, and it's like every time I address this issue, I was like, it doesn't work. Somebody's like, yeah, but there's this. And so then I go and I'm like, all right, fine. So I'll go and I'll test this. And then it doesn't work. And then somebody's like, well, that's because you didn't do this and this. Everybody wants to come up with ways that they can either, come up with a better system to, beat Google, or they're just out there seriously to just take your money and scam you with a bunch of stuff that you don't need, that's not going to help you. And they don't care because they're making money selling these courses. And 9 times out of 10, when these people are doing the geotagging, they're doing 27 other different things. And so it's not an apples to apples comparison. It's apples to oranges. They're buying fake reviews with their keywords in it. They're doing a bunch of CTR manipulation where they're sending a bunch of clicks to the listing and all sorts of stuff. And then they sell you this a la carte. But the one thing that always stays the constant is the geotagging the photos, which nobody has ever been able to prove actually works as a standalone service.
So one of the things I want to throw out here, so on the concept of photos, so you're also saying that not only does geotagging not work, but there was a question about that Anthony asked here. Says, well, what about keywords in the photo, in the file name in the photo?
No.
I think we can definitively say that doesn't really help either.
Nope.
Here's one of the things that I will throw out though. And we had, usually what happens when people start doing this kind of tactics, they actually start putting more attention to their Gmb listing. They're starting to actually add photos. They're actually doing things. They're actually adding things, all the things that you're supposed to be doing anyway, adding content, uploading photos, taking care of the things that you were supposed to be doing with your listing anyway. And they're confusing the fact that they're now uploading photos to their listing that are compelling and interesting is actually because they were geotagging or adding keywords. No, it's because you actually started uploading images to your listing and you started doing it. And there is some proof out there that, Joe Danzer, our favorite, Google Street photographer out there, actually did see when they started putting regular increasing the frequency and the regularity of the photos to their listing, they saw an increase in the views and an increase in the conversions that they were getting. Now, he said there's a point of diminishing returns. You can't just spam that ad infinitum. But the goal is put up photos regularly to your listing. It does help. Geotagging keywords don't help with that. Anyway, I'll throw that out there for what it's worth. Interesting. Steven said that he gets something out of his Gmb Insights. That your photos have received 459% more views than similar businesses, and he didn't geotag them. It's just because when you actually put out good photos on your listing on a regular basis, they're going to get engagement.
So with a higher quality.
That's what it is. All right, moving right along. I know that's our favorite topic. We got to write an article. Okay, so we got that one done. This is from Agamjo. Says, how do I make citations for businesses with different locations? Should it affect consistency if different cities will affect consistency if I use different city names in the addresses? So I may be missing a little something here just because of the translation here, but it sounds like what he's trying to do is saying, hey, I have a business that has multiple locations in different cities that will it affect my listings because I have different cities in the address? We may have to get back to this one here.
I'm gonna try and tackle it. We may need to get back to it, but if you are building citations, regular citations, then you're going to be using your exact name of your business. You're going to be using the exact address. You're not going to be able to do any form of manipulation to build out citations by adding additional stuff in there. But if and remember, a lot of these citation sites, you're going to have to go through a moderation. So some of them, they will go ahead and block you for doing that. But you should be sticking with the same name across the board. So look at Starbucks, look at a McDonald's, look at like big name brands that are nationwide, Walmart's, they have the same name across the board. They're not doing Walmart of El Paso, Walmart of Dallas, Walmart of Denver. It's Walmart Supercenter, right? That is their name. That is going to be consistent across the board. And when they go and they build out their citations, then they're going to put in their complete address, their telephone number, their website, their hours, all that normal, crucial information. So don't try and get cute, creative, fancy, because it can, if you set up your citations incorrectly, it can have an adverse effect on your listing and your rankings.
Yep. Okay, you guys ready to go for lightning round?
Light it.
All right, lightning round from Tammy. How can I claim a business listing that is within a larger listing? For example, a store that's inside a hotel.
Same process.
Yeah, you just got to get that pinned postcard sent there and get it and then verify it. Yep. And if it doesn't work after 2 times, do get help and you can do a video verification.
Yep. Good. All right. From Tom, a competitor is using a fake name, divorce and family lawyer, in their Gmb listing. I clicked on the edit button, suggested the true business name be used, did it twice. Nothing's changed. Any suggestions on how to get this listing with the wrong name corrected?
All right, I'll field it. I'll get started at least, and then we'll pass over to JB. So, so as far as suggesting edit goes, there is a certain kind of trust level, not your local guide level, but trust level that goes behind making those edits. For instance, I'm a level guy. I think I'm like level 8 or something like that as a local guide. Jason is a 9, and so, but equally, it's like we can suggest an edit and it's going to most likely get approved. Now, that being said, when you make that edit, Google is immediately going to go ahead and crawl their website, look at the copyright, look at logos and things like that, and basically try to match it up and see if it actually exists on their website or other trusted sources. And if they do, then it's going to go ahead and get denied. So you're probably getting an email that's saying, thank you for suggesting the edit, which means it's not getting published immediately. What can you do afterwards? Is after you've suggested an edit, instead of sitting there suggesting an edit all day after day after day, go to the Google My Business redressal form and then report it. And what you're going to do is just select title and put in the link to the listing. And then you need to provide proof and evidence that that's actually not their name. And and then Google might change it. However, somebody could easily change it back. Yes, Eric.
I was going to say, isn't this a place where the business redressal form could be used?
Well, that's what I was just talking about. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to link them, actually, the redressal.
Because I think they were also talking about, he did the suggest and edit on the listing, which was when you said, hey, if you're a higher level local guide, you're going to be seen more. But then this is the next step, is the business redressal complaint form.
Correct. Right. Now, what you want to do here, though, is very simply is that I'll give you a second that and Amy in 1 second. But as far as the business redressal complaint form goes, make sure that you document the case ID, which you see as soon as you fill this out, and it also comes to you in email. The reason is if it's truly egregious and Google is not doing it, or if the user goes ahead and changes the name back. So let's say Google does change it. You're not going to get notified of this, but let's say you see it and then they change it back to keywords. Then you can come to you can either send a direct message to me or Jason, and then we can have you go to the community, open up a thread, and we can escalate it for a quality review. Especially if it's egregious, but otherwise somebody can keep on changing it back. JB?
No, I think that's it. Is your mic on?
Amy, as far as like pieces.
Oh yeah, no, that's it. No, because we're doing lightning round. You just want to hit it and quit it.
Yep, let's go on. So we got the redressal form link, put that in the chat for you guys. All right, here's another good one. What's your stance on co-working spaces for a service area-based business?
Doesn't work. Don't do it. You're going to get suspended.
Not allowed.
So let me throw a thought to that. Hey, if I'm a service area business and my office happens to be in a co-working space, but I still list my business as a service area business, that's okay.
You would still have to have, there's a big misnomer there. You would have to have it. You still have to have an office at that location with signage.
No, I'm not trying to get a pin.
I know that.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You still have to have it. You can't just go rent a desk.
Right. No, I understand. I must have missed that. I'm saying, if I'm working at some place, if I have a business that has a service area that's different, is that allowed?
It doesn't. If it's a co-working space, you need to have a dedicated office still.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to have a dedicated office with signage and a person there, and it would just be more beneficial to just use your private residence and be fully in compliance. But yeah, I mean, I had like a situation yesterday, real quick. Business got suspended when I was looking to do the reinstatement. It was like, okay, you have a business at that same address with the address showing. He goes, yeah, but I'm hiding my address. I said, but that doesn't matter for Google. Google's not going to care. You already have a business with your address showing, which isn't even allowed and could get suspended. So, that's the way it is. So just because you're hiding your address doesn't mean you can just use any address you want.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Tammy, I have a question for a school that holds classes throughout the United States. Do I create a separate listing for each city class, or do I keep adding new addresses to one GMP listing? Oh, this one has red flags all over in my mind.
There's one specific guideline for this, and that is it's just because you have an event that is at a location, you cannot have a Google My Business listing unless you have total authority over that location. Example of this could be a class which is permanently located at a location that has signage and is always there. Temporary classes do not comply and cannot have an individual GMB listing.
Yep. Bottom line, for most people, you can't even do it. Like I even work at a lot of local churches who will hold regular services at like a storefront. They do not own that location. They do not legally represent that location. They cannot even get a GMB listing for that location, let alone a one-time event at a location. So good point.
However, I will say this, and that is you can use something like Eventbrite and make sure you use the full name address of the location, and it might show up on the GMB profile.
Oh, good point. Good point. That's a great tactic. Michael says, I have a client decided to change their GMB home address to the new brick and mortar location in downtown before we did any citation changes and before the website was up. Now the website's up and we've requested the postcard 2 times, have not received the postcard in the new location to verify. Yes, this is a real business with a real location. What can I do to get the actual postcard so I can verify the new location?
Get help. Just go to the Get Help community link and they'll be able to do a video verification process for you.
Yeah.
After 2 times.
Go to the Google My Business Help community, submit it there. Yep, that's a good point. Okay. This is from Richard, and this is probably the last one of the day here. I know Ben has touched on this before, but we're an accounting firm that has been in the Kissimmee area for 35 years. We have a Google My Business account, and our primary category is Certified Public Accountant. We used to be number 1 on GMB, but then a new competitor moved in and has hidden us. No, they haven't hidden you from certain keywords unless I zoom into a Google Maps.
Filtered.
There we go. And they show up right under the listing. I've tried changing categories, but nothing seems to work. What can I do?
Oh, changing categories and it's not working.
Changing categories is not the way to go.
Pretty close. Well, actually, technically, changing categories is the way to go. Yeah, at least on the primary category side, not the secondary categories. But yeah, if you are not being seen and you zoom in and zoom out, you are absolutely being filtered. What I really wonder is how far distance-wise from the verification points you are from this other entity. It sounds like it might be less than 200 feet. And if that's the case, you have no choice but to move.
You could
maybe
you could potentially move pin. So if you can move your pin far enough away to another side of the building and move their pin to another side of the building, then maybe, yes, you might be able to get out of that unfiltered. It depends. I mean, I had an issue with an eyelash salon where they were just too close to another business. And so I moved the businesses as far away as we could, but they were like a couple of blocks away to get that unfiltered issue resolved.
Yeah. And one thing I will caution with that is if you move that pin more than 600 feet, it's going to reshuffle your rankings completely. Also, you have a okay chance of getting suspended.
So I was just going to show us here, just to really quickly clarify what Ben and Jason are talking about here, and then we'll have to wrap up for the day. This is like I just did a search for attorneys in Denver, and you're seeing things that are showing up. As you zoom in closer, though, you will see more listings begin to appear. This is called filtering. It is not anything that your competitor is necessarily doing. This is just Google's way of trying to keep a map uncluttered.
Yep.
The unfortunate result, though, is that for the businesses, and it just basically, there's a lot of factors that go into, this is ranking, but it goes into to factor out what they're doing here. This is what's happening, though, it's the filtering. Richard put up an interesting point here. It says, we own the building and they're in our building. Richard, I'm going to suggest the nuclear option for you here. Kick him out as a tenant. Seriously, if you're having a problem with this, get them out of your building. Get them out of your building. I hate to do that because I know you're always trying to fill up office space. But if it's damaging your core business and you own the building, kick them out of your building.
I don't know if you can legally do that, but
well, you can terminate the lease or whenever the lease ends.
Terminating my lease because I'm taking over your GMB.
No. I'm saying when the lease ends. When the lease ends, don't renew it.
There you go.
Right. I'm not saying to necessarily violate a contract. Well, on that wonderful legal note, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. That was a very, very fun session. Sign up for the future sessions. We're doing this every Friday. Again, next Friday, we've got Larry Kim talking about Instagram strategies for local businesses. I'm sure we'll have an open Q&A as well, but we're going to start with Larry. Jason, Ben, thank you guys so much. As always, it's a lot of fun doing this with you.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Thank you all for showing up.